Continue dealings with Diana in Devil Worship in France. Are the Question of Lucifer a record of things seen and heard in the secret societies according to the evidence of initiates? By A.E.Waite in 1896 of the Vulgar era. The sanctum regnum is described as triangular in shape. There was no torch, no lamp, no fire. The floor and the ceiling were, therefore, not unnaturally dark, but an inexplicable veil of strange phosphorescent light was diffused over the three walls, the source of which proved on examination to be innumerable particles of greenish flames, each no larger than a pin's head. Seated in front of the Baphomet, Miss Vaughan apostrophized Lucifer sympathetically on the subject of the unpleasing form in which he was represented by his worshippers, and as she did so, the little flames intensified. While floor and ceiling caught fire, after the same ghostly, incandescent fashion. A great dry heat filled the vast apartment, and still spreading, the flames covered her chair, her garments, her entire person. At this point, the inevitable thunder began to roll. 3 and 1 and 2 great thunders, after which came 5 breathings upon her face, and after those breathings 5 radiant spirits appeared, the first act closing impressively with the final salvo of artillery. The unhappy Baphomet, dismayed by these extreme proceedings, vanished entirely, and no expense being spared through the whole of the costly tableau, Lucifer manifested on a throne of diamonds. But whether the gems were furnished from the treasury of Avernus, or from the pockets of the bamboozled Freemasons through the wide world, les renseignements do not state. Need I say that Miss Vaughan's first impulse was to fall and worship at his feet? But the sordid apparition, instead of accepting the homage with the grace which is native to empire, had recourse to the method of the novelist, and stayed her intention by a gesture, even at this date, with the millstone of her conversion placed in the opposite scale. Miss Vaughan's description of her quondam deity would tempt sentimental young women to forgive all his devilдom, to being so superb in masculine beauty. I will refrain from spoiling the picture by much of her own minuteness, or by the exclamatory parenthesis of her fury against the magnificent gentleman who deceived her. I should like also to omit all reference to the conversion which ensued between them. But for the sake of true art, I am constrained to state that Lucifer descended to commonplace. M. Renan tells us that since he left Saint Sulpice, he did nothing but degenerate, and that the inference is obvious that he ought to have gone back to Saint Sulpice, despite the literary splendors of the Vie de Jesus. Vie de Jesus. I think that's how you say it. Since he last broke lance with Michael, the devil being deliberately, mentally, and the substance of his casier with Diana reminds one of Robert Montgomery, and even worse exemplars. In the unexplored regions of penny periodical romance, I have met with many better specimens of supernatural dialogue. And as to the sum of his observations, it goes without saying that Diana was chosen out of thousands, and this is what justifies my opinion that his proceedings on this occasion were more famous, or more fatuous than any of his undertakings since he tried conclusions with divinity. And it's interesting that it was the doctrine, I'm talking about the Arabic here because this English did not exist. At the time of Pope Innocent, the Great Crusade, it was the doctrine of the Catholic Church that Al-Quran was so beautiful, and the fact that they could not imitate it was, except for select verses of the Bible, which they rendered in Arabic using the Quranic phrase, which is not quite the same as imitating it on its own. But and never two verses together. They said only the devil could create such beauty, and Satan being the god of this world and age, so anything really wondrous in terms of this world must secretly have some attachment of Satan. You might, if Satan's the enemy, you might understand some weird, sickly sort of thing that, oh, maybe this is of Satan, but the beauty of this world, no wonder why why it spurred so much devil worship over the years, right? Very silently, during the course of this interview, the 11 prime chiefs had returned like conspirators they were. Of course, in the nick of time, to hear Miss Vaughan was appointed as the grand priestess of Lucifer, at which moment there was a fresh burst of circumambient flame, and the young lady was transported by her divinity to take part in a grand spectacular drama divided into 2 acts. The appearance of Asmodeus with 14 legions, exchange of enduring expressions between this personage and Diana, manifestation of the signature of Baal Zebub, Baal Zebub, generalissimo of the armies of Lucifer, written upon fire in the void. Spiritualization of the sweetheart of Asmodeus. Diana hungers for the fray. Great pitch battle between the jinn of Lucifer and the jinn of Adonai, termed Malakas. Now, jinn and Malaka are different matters. Jinn being of fire, but not, jinn having choice. So saying that some of them are good and some of them are bad. But the Malaka are something completely different. You're not going to mistake a Malaka for a jinn if you know the difference. It's not, they disguise, the evil spirits disguise themselves as the good ones. It doesn't work quite like that. And they would disdain. Remember how they reacted to the human being. Oh, he's different. How dare this God say that this being that is of clay and I am of fire is superior? Anyways, without the gates of Eden, the terrestrial paradise, carried by storm after severe fighting, grand panorama of paradise, explanatory dialogue between Diana and her future husband, appearance of a snow-white, gigantic eagle on which Diana is to be transported to Ulis, a solar world unknown to the profane, wherein Lucifer reigns and is adorned. Miss Vaughan, having been transported on another occasion to this mystic planet in the arms of Lucifer himself, the episodes of the second act are held over. She was, however, ultimately returned, safe and sound, to the Sanctum Regnum at Charleston, on the back of the white eagle. Now, in a different context, not diabolism, you would, I did have a vision on doing retreat of the 27th of some year. I believe that's in the Itikaf and Ramadan playlist, if not in the, it should be in the Visions and Dreams ones too, where I had, there was a falcon, a falcon-like entity that took me somewhere. Such, 27th of the 9th month, that pink building in my channel picture, it was that building. Such is Miss Vaughan's statement, and once more she proceeds to give reasons why she could not have been hypnotized or hallucinated. As in the case of Dr. Patel, I propose to postpone criticism until other witnesses have filled their dispositions. At the moment, it's sufficient to recognize that, apart from the supernatural element, which admits of a simple explanation, if Miss Vaughan be a credible witness, then the central fact of the new and reformed Palladium must be admitted, with all it involves. Now, the secret, a good liar is not going to be a complete liar. So, the idea that there's some truth here, so we must accept everything. And you always got to question, I've accepted the Catholic faith. And you exaggerate the fact by saying, what's the strongest form of enmity that I could possibly think of me being a Catholic before that? And really, in the modern age, it takes a lot more. And, your conversion, enter into completely. Well, if you enter completely, but if you're just saying a word, I've converted. But you're the same liar and everything else that you were, what you think, and particularly to say that, the atonement has been done for me. No atonement has been done for you. You have to do your own hero deeds.